Let's talk about Vanguard and the reveal event and my thoughts and impressions of the reveal event and what we know so far within the game. First things first, the Warzone events, the saving of Verdansk sucked yesterday. It was so bad. Like I'm trying to think of words to use to describe the event, but it was just super underwhelming and super boring. Honestly, you could go without playing the event whatsoever and still get the full experience by watching the trailer. So it was like a lackluster event. It wasn't as good. I think it was like a Juggernaut event. It was like a Zombies Juggernaut event. That was the last one. That was pretty interesting. I think that was like a Cold War event or a Zombies specific event. And then the Warzone actual like Verdansk nuke event was by far the best one so far. But this one didn't really make a lot of sense because they're trying to make the Verdansk story candid with Cold War and Modern Warfare. We've seen the Modern Warfare story continue on in Verdansk a little, same with the Cold War story. However, the continuity just breaks here strictly because it's the Cold War era, yet all of a sudden this World War II stuff happens. I know it's not going to be considered part of the story in Warzone, just didn't make a lot of sense, and I was talking with Special Service and Kai in the Discord, and all three of us were like, okay, well, this is a cool event for like a Warzone reveal, but why is it just doesn't make any logical sense for the storyline? I get that it's completely separate from the storyline and it's there just to reveal the game, but I think they could have done a little bit more planning, maybe tease the new map for Warzone, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. Overall, the actual event, like not talking Vanguard itself, but the literal just event by itself sucked. It was like a 2 out of 10. You could literally, unless you want the like the calling card and the rewards and stuff like that, you could go without playing this event and get the exact same experience just by watching the trailer. Now, with that being said, my first impressions of the trailer are very positive. I'm really excited for this game, and I think we have a lot to look forward to this year. It's running on the Modern Warfare, I guess, engine that everyone knows about. It looks pretty colorful. Of course, it's World War II, so we're not going to see bright and vibrant colors, but hopefully we'll see some color variation. We have new fronts this year, so unlike any other World War II Call of Duty game, we're focusing on multiple fronts, basically the entire world where all the main fronts were of the war, which is going to be really interesting. And I also made a video, I think it was, it would have been a couple months ago, when I said that Call of Duty is going to see a new golden era that can rival the old one, and Modern Warfare 2019 was the COD 4 of the new era, Cold War was the new Black Ops 1 of the new era, and then Vanguard has the opportunity to be the World at War of the new era. And if I'm being honest, the World War II themed Call of Duties in the franchise have never been the strongest. A lot of people do like World at War as like their favorite World War II game, but there hasn't really been any strong main titles in World War II, especially compared to what the Call of Duties that we have now are like when we saw the golden era, like Black Ops and Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, all those great games. So this definitely has the opportunity to be by far the best World War II game within the franchise to date, and I'm super excited there. Let's talk about the trailer and some of the info that we got and some things that I think Vanguard needs to be a solid game. The first one is there's going to be 20 launch maps for multiplayer. Now, 20 launch maps on the surface sounds pretty good, but what could happen is it could be 20 maps, but only like 10 or 12 of them could be 6v6 maps. The rest could be gunfight maps or special game modes like ground war, combined arms. But hopefully, based off of how this is looking, I'm thinking we're going to get 14 to maybe 15 6v6 maps on launch. So they're definitely listening to the community there and are gonna, like, the game's gonna launch with a lot more content than Modern Warfare 2019 or Cold War have. Also, with the 4 fronts being the African front, the Western front in Europe, the Eastern front in Europe, and the Pacific theater within the war, since we have 4 of these brand new fronts that like we're gonna be focusing all at the same time on, campaign-wise, I think the campaign should be extended. I think it wouldn't do the story justice, and the story would definitely feel hollow if the campaign was only like 4 or 5 hours in total length from start to finish, covering all 4 fronts. I don't think people are going to care if the Call of Duty campaign is 7 to 10 hours, like from start to finish, even if you're trying to like get through it as fast as possible and not doing like side quests and finding intel and stuff like that. If you're just going through it, 7 hours minimum would be perfect. That way you could fully cover all 4 fronts of the war from start to finish, or wherever we're picking up with the story. I think that would also allow them to tell a more interesting and in-depth story compared to what we saw with World War II, where it was the most generic World War II story ever of D-Day, we land on D-Day, we work through France, and then we take over Germany again, right? Like, that's what we saw in World War II. Really boring campaign, and there wasn't really a lot of character development. And that's one thing I'm worried about in this campaign, is if it's too short in runtime, we won't get that character development that we see in games like Black Ops. And it will be interesting to see how this ties in with the Cold War and Modern Warfare story. Of course, we're not going to see a lot of returning characters, because a lot of the characters won't even be born yet in this time. But it would be cool to see some references to the Cold War and Modern Warfare games that will happen in the future. What I'm hoping for is all 3 studios start to work in this congealed universe, where it's just, instead of it being like the Black Ops universe and the Modern Warfare universe, do what they did in Cold War and Modern Warfare and combine them together. So with Sledgehammer making this Call of Duty, I would absolutely love to see all 3 games be connected in some form or fashion, which would be really cool. And then from here on out, just have all Call of Duties from these 3 studios be intertwined some way. It doesn't have to be like super obvious. Like when we get Modern Warfare 2 next year, it's not going to be like, remember this Cold War thing, but it will happen in the same universe and might have some small references from Cold War or even World War II Vanguard, which would be pretty cool there. Also, Zombies has been confirmed to be developed by Treyarch for this game, which gives me a lot of hope. Now, I'm kind of upset that we won't see a continuation of the World War II Zombies story. I know that one is very frowned upon by a lot of people in the Zombies community, but I really enjoyed World War II Zombies and was excited to see where the story was going to go from there. However, it's just going to be a continuation, or I guess a prequel to Cold War Zombies. What I want for Vanguard Zombies more than anything is more interesting maps. I don't want facility maps like we've seen in Cold War, where every single map is a facility or some sort of just generic area. And for example, I guess Mauer der Toten is the only map that's kind of not really a facility. It's not really anything unique either. Like, it's not unique like Moon or Shangri-La or Shadows of Evil. It's just kind of like, oh, generic Cold War Berlin, here you go. What I want to see in World War II Vanguard, or I guess Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies now, is more interesting locations. Maybe play around with it a little bit. We can travel the world and play in some cool, unique locations. The Pyramid, Paris, whatever, middle of the ocean, underwater map. It could be anything crazy. I just want to see some more unique ties in Zombies, because I feel like Cold War, like the mechanics in Cold War Zombies, absolutely perfect, no issues whatsoever. It is the best base mechanics out of any Zombies title to date. But the thing is the story sucked in Cold War, and it's especially hard to have a good story when you don't have any main characters. You could say, oh, Samantha's a main character, but I think Samantha has had like 20 lines of dialogue in the entire storyline in-game, not including Intel, but in-game she's said like 20 lines of dialogue total, so it's really hard to get invested in a story when there's no main characters or kind of flesh to the plot. We just kind of had like this surface level shell of a plot, and hopefully they explore that more within Vanguard. And if Vanguard is more in-depth than Cold War is with the plot and characters, maybe they can develop some things in Treyarch fashion where it's like, hey, remember this thing in Cold War that no one understood because the story was so boring? Here, it's explained in Vanguard, and you guys can kind of draw your own conclusions and make the connections from game to game. But yeah, I don't want to overhype the game, but I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for what it will bring and what it will include in the future for Call of Duty. Of course, it's too early to say if the game's going to be good or not. We haven't played the beta yet. We haven't seen full multiplayer trailers yet. We haven't seen a Zombies trailer. We've only got the initial launch trailer that we've all saw yesterday. And in great news for Warzone, the major issues that people were having are getting fixed. Those being, boom, look at that. The one, anti-cheat. We're finally getting anti-cheat, and two, we are finally getting a brand new map. So not only are we going to be getting an anti-cheat and cheaters won't be an issue anymore, we're going to be getting a brand new map to replace Verdansk. And so we're basically going to be starting on a fresh slate with Warzone come November 5th. So that is going to be super exciting and will be a huge improvement for the life and longevity of Warzone and just the quality of life overall. So for now, Lots of good things to look forward to. The only issue that we all know about is skill-based matchmaking. You guys all know where I stand. I know where you guys stand on SBMM. Let me know what you guys thought about the World War II Vanguard trailer in the comment section down below. What did you guys think of the event? Did it suck? Was it okay? Am I hating too much on it? Or am I justified with saying that the event was boring, but the trailer was actually pretty interesting? Anyway, leave a like if you guys did enjoy, dislike if you didn't. There's no hard feelings. Subscribe for more videos in the future. Code WILD for 10% off all your Gamer Subs purchases and needs when you're on gamersubs.gg. Yeah, that's gonna be it. I'm about to head out, and if there is one, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.